Alright people, how's it going? My name is Renegade Operative, and once again, we are here. We are live, and we're going to break down the Silent Hill 2 official combat reveal trailer for the Silent Hill 2 remake. Very eagerly excited for this game, but also cautiously optimistic, and I think this is going to ring true with this video. As you see, there is a monumentous amount of likes and dislikes, but the dislike ratio is overtaking the like ratio, and I think it's because the trailer they released, Bloober Team released this trailer after a full year, and what they're showing is gameplay that is polarizing at best, with some issues with the hit detection and how that's being registered, as well as some of the animations. I'm going to try to play it down the middle. There are things that I liked and things that I disliked. So once again, if you're looking for a Silent Hill 2 reaction, that's not totally 100% slandering and shitting on all the developers and adhering to destructive criticism, then you're not going to hear it here. I'm going to be straight down the middle. I'm going to call it how I see it, and I'm going to try to decipher the problems as well as some of the positives that I see, because everything needs a yin and a yang. Anyway, let's get into the mix and let's get this party started. I'm gonna try to keep it non-spoilery for the people who never played this game, but as we see, James checks the body of a very familiar figure, only this time it was like a handkerchief over his face. In the original, it was not this bloody sort of fleshy looking substance or this rag over his face. Traditionally, it was not something that existed, which is something they added to this remake. So, you know, it's whatever. Same for the handkerchief that James also found in the original trailer of Silent Hill 2. Now they have the same sort of puzzles and beats. You clearly are in the apartments clearing out the garbage using the chutes to get a key, and they kept that and maintained that to its relative same conditions from what I see. Here you are solving a safe, and we also have a dead body in the fridge, which is very reminiscent. It looks like a shot peeled and taken and inspired by Resident Evil 2 Remake. If you could put this side by side to how some of the aesthetics of that game looked, it's clear that this is what Bloober Team is going with. And honestly, it's not bad. Like, the aesthetics, graphics, and presentation of Silent Hill 2, it's all here. It's all very reminiscent of what we knew and love, with a dirtier, grungier, and bloodier format here. And I absolutely love the presentation of this remake thus far. Looks like a straight up crime scene. That's crazy. Here is the apartments where James has to, it looks like a harrowing situation, but he has to cross over from this apartment to the next, and there's a wide gap here that you have to step over. That is the clock puzzle. You move the clock, then you change the nozzles, figure it out from there. It's like words scribbled on the side. And honestly, like, I'm a stickler for this. It's the same hole in the wall as well that is very prevalent with the room, and they kept that intact from the original, and it's very cool looking, and it's very cool that they paid attention to all the attention to details that really followed thus far. And there it is, the Woodside Apartments. As I said, all from here graphically looks 100% great. You see the fog just foreboding in the background. Great job with that. This is how I actually want Silent Hill games moving forward to look. Just an ominous presence within the environment, like something is not right, and they nailed that. Like, the originals also did a great job, but obviously the graphics did not age well for the time, so everything looks beautiful, crisp, and nice, in my opinion. Although I will say, this is where some of the criticism will seep in, because James and his walking animations, like, you've seen animations from Naughty Dog, right? Where the animations are lively, the characters are touching stuff. It seems very stiff. I'm gonna slow it down for you so you can see. But it just seems like he's very stiff, like a cardboard, sticking straight up. Not really a lot of movement there in terms of like just looking around and stuff like that. Just very stiff looking as he walks, and that's one problem that I kind of have. Let me slow it down for you. I'm gonna put it in slow motion for you. So that's one little nitpick. Just stiff. Like he looks aside a little bit. Sure, that's realistic, but it's not on some giant level that I would have preferred. Even RE2 Remake looks less stiff than this. Environments once again looks nice. Um, I believe they're showing like details from one of the final levels, which has these small doodads and puzzles. So that's kind of great actually that they're giving us a peek into late game. And there's a certain person's dress. I almost dropped the spoiler, but you will know as you play the game. It's very cryptic, and being in this room is not the most kosher idea when you really examine it. You're gonna understand why when you play the game. You might get a little spooked, as they say. And it ends with the radio going off, and we have our first creature encounter. The top down, top up. So, this is a typical, like, little mannequin here. And it looks like it looks fine for what it is, mostly, but we're going to begin to get into the problems. So you have basic combat, which is, two strikes with the 2x4. And honestly, the melee animations, they look fine for what they are when you compare them to the original 2x4, where it's like a small thwack when you smack someone with it, and you constantly do it. It's like this is a lot more efficient in taking stuff down. I hope it's not too easy though, where it's like 2 hits and it's dead. Like some enemies should have like higher HP, or they should be able to try to swarm you a lot more in rooms where you're fighting like more than one of these things. A lot of AI tactics to make them smart, reliable, and vicious when you are in a situation where you're trying to melee like one thing and there's like something behind you. I hope the combat system will allow you to get around these enemies, to possibly dodge, and to handle situations in close quarters where it's not like, I understand you're the everyman in this situation and it should feel that way, but it is still a survival horror game where you need functionality to kick in a modernized setting. So two melees, bam, and that's a weak enemy anyway. I understand that. That's a weak ass enemy. Here is more of a struggle, and it looks like this is, let me see. This is the pool area, the empty pool area. And I know there was some criticisms of people saying that, well, why is there so much combat outside in this one particular area? Why? Well, if you play the original game, you will see there's multiple enemies down here in the pool where you need to go and get a key item out of this little cart right here. This little cart you see. You need to get a key item out of that, and there's like 3 of them, 4 of them right here. If you choose to engage in combat, you will be fighting 3 of these fleshy monsters. Like, I'm not kidding. So I don't understand why folks are saying, well, oh, why is he fighting here? Why is there so much emphasis on combat? Number one, it is a combat trailer. And number two, these enemies are there in the original. They're standing right there. If you go down there, you're going to fight them, bar none. That's one thing to keep in mind. There is some invalid criticisms about this whole issue. It's like, if you're standing there fighting them with a pipe, you're gonna be fucking fighting like 3 or 4 people. Like, it is common sense. It is a densely populated little area, and it might not seem that way. You can run from these enemies, but it is something that exists in the original. I don't get why people are saying, "Oh, why are you fighting them?" Why? Is to demonstrate and exhibit the combat. So that I don't agree with what people are saying there. And you can run from them too. Clearly, they're spitting a lot of venom onto James, and it is getting all over the screen. Now, I never was a fan of all this blood stuff on the screen. Clearly, I understand it is to immerse people in realism and put a little blood there, show some injuries, or show some vomit or venomous properties getting on the screen, but it just looks distracting from a presentation point of view. There is a QTE struggle in this game, which I'm not gonna lie, like most AAA games have this mechanic where you have to press the button to get the enemy off. Some they do it better than others. Would I prefer having the QT like held like The Last of Us Part 2 where you can like choose to either tap it, hold it, and you're not struggling to break your controller? Yeah, sure. That'd be totally fine. We'll see what the accessibility is when we get to it. Honestly though, this is common in a lot of AAA games, especially Western games with QTs like this, even Japanese, is quite common. It seems James is beginning to take a lot of damage. I do like that there is a differing animation of him taking the brunt of this acid and showing him in pain. Also, the acid like slowly covering his body like he's being burnt to death. I appreciate that little detail. This is well lit area, looks very good. This blood area is something that's also like very cool looking. I assume this is in the bathrooms when you meet a particular character who might be wearing a striped shirt. Now, this is something I also seen people complain a lot about at ad nauseum, and I must say, personally, they're comparing it to the Silent Hill HD collection Comic Sans font, saying it's way too obvious that there's certain text on the wall where it says "reap what you sow," as foreboding warnings of the psychological torment that the character will face throughout the game. Personally, there are, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler or anything, there are endings tied to reading text on the wall, and I want it to be as clear as possible. So I have no problem with this if I want to get a particular ending or do a particular function of getting said ending and making sure that it's clear on what I have to do with my paths, objectives, and everything under the sun. So I have no problem with them highlighting more white chalk text on the foreground of these walls. I don't really hate it, and I don't feel I can feel one way or the other about it. I just don't despise it to a large degree as people are talking about on social media. Now here's where things start to get a little muddled. We have James shooting at an enemy right here, and it looks weird. It looks wonky. It looks like it's off. It looks very indie looking, which is what I see with indie third person horror games where you start shooting and it looks like everything's off. It's no reticule. Obviously, it's going to be a reticule in the final release, and this was bullshotted and made for the trailer, but still, it looks kind of off. Like the bullet reactions and everything looks kind of weird, as well as the fact that the sounds of the gun don't really sound like they have a lot of impact to them. And that's the most important thing. Like, you look at something like Resident Evil 2 Remake. Let's look at this side by side. We're going to do Silent Hill real quick. Where is it? We're going to do Silent Hill real quick for you people. And then we're going to do Resident Evil. And I'm going to play that. And we're going to cite the difference here. Alright, that was Silent Hill. Now let's look at RE. We got some aggressive and brutal combat. A lot more fluidity, things getting hit with a shotgun and the actual impact going in. everything basically registering when it comes to like just the details and the damage. The zombie with the flayed head, and you can clearly see like just the gore everywhere. You're blowing off limbs, you're making impact. The blown off head just flaying apart is so amazing. With Silent Hill, it doesn't really feel like they are there yet. And I know this is Bloober's first time at combat. This is their first time doing a game oriented around combat, and it shows. It's like a very first rough draft. So here it is, more gunplay. Just it feels like it's not strong enough. It's not there yet. The impact is not there yet, and it is severely needed, in my opinion. Now the music, of course, Akira Yamaoka. Very nice touch. It brings you back to that old familiar feeling, as well as the aesthetics. This is a room where I think that is the bathroom scene right there. That's pivotal to the game of meeting a certain character, or it could be. I know this one for a fact is meeting a character named Angela, and she has a very tragic backstory behind her as well, involving also that knife that you will see and pick up, and you could take it as a key item. That cart right there is where James finds his first pistol. And he's putting it on display right here, shooting down at target center mass. Headshots galore. See, even the shotgun, was that like, did the head come off, or am I going crazy that it stayed attached? It did. Oh my god, that was okay. That's weird. Like, dude, if I'm aiming a shotgun at the middle of someone's face and I pull the trigger, it's like, I'm just a stickler for details. So the head should come off. Like, it is no fucking fighting that argument. Like, the head should come off, like, completely. So I don't understand why. Again, it's all lack of impact. And it just feels like janky, shoddy first draft. I've seen much better gameplay. I have to cite games like RE2 and The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us has great, amazing gunplay and animations. And this one is like very, very indie at best. And I'm like, where's so the budget clearly has gone more into the graphics over just the gunplay and gameplay. But it could be fixed. It could be refined. I would say definitely just the weird sort of off aiming here. I understand you're every man, but still it shouldn't look this weird. And I would say adding details like gore would help, as well as I know people had concerns about there being way too much action, and I do agree with those concerns, but there are combat encounters. It's not like there aren't combat encounters within the game. Please keep that in mind. Therefore, you're going to be fighting these enemies and you're going to be trying to get around them and stuff like that. So them having a dodge works because there was a dodge in the original, or you could say just a block, but there was some defensive mechanic in the original Silent Hill 2. What they need is bullet impact, better sounds for shooting the guns, obviously that reticule for showing like headshots, body damage. It would be nice if the enemies would flinch a lot more to some of the shots, because clearly, like, that enemy in the back, before he shot the final pistol round, they just took that headshot. They took it. But I do like that they are slowly swarming and converging on the player, which is, once again, keeping the situation very, very hectic. Yeah, it's just, even the way he holds the shotgun, even the way he holds it is weird. It's very amateur. It's not how someone would hold a pump action shotgun, in my opinion. There was also clipping there of the shotgun nozzle interface, so that was also like just weird and distracting. And I don't know why the nurse is stuck in windup with this knife. At any point in time, I feel like she should be striking James and he should be feeling the brunt of that knife attack. instead of the wind up. Like, why are you winding up? Cut him, cut him, and the player should be cut unless you're putting the difficulty of this combat trailer on like super easy. Then I feel like James should be struck right about here. What is with the wind up? I don't get it. More shotgun. You know, she's feeling the effect of that, but still. No, that was the rifle. Okay, so they seem to have like the OG weapons back: the rifle, the shotgun, the pistol, the pipe, the 2x4, everything you need to be an efficient Silent Hill 2 killer. Environments look incredible. It is some slightly different animations with the pipe, but they kind of look very similar to the 2x4. In the original Silent Hill 2, each melee weapon had a differing animation. Like the 2x4, he does a small whack, and then the pipe, he brings the pipe downward, mostly like vertically. And you can hit people and stun people with them. So it's a slightly different variant of using certain animation attacks in this, and I guess it's efficient, but hopefully they are different enough to stand out and not look the same. So just a little bit of a variance with the baseball swing right there at the end. I don't know if he's aiming like he's shooting the side of a barn, but he clearly missed. Oh no, he hit him in the knee. Okay, so I was about to criticize this man's aim, but I'm like, okay, he hit him in the knee. Good. I like this. This I like. I know I've been critical of this the entire time, but I like shooting someone in the kneecap and them going down on that leg, or them being shot in the arm and feeling it and reacting. This is one of the things that I liked about Resident Evil 4. I enjoyed when you shoot someone point for point, whether it's in the kneecap, the foot, the shoulder, the hand, they would drop a weapon. This is good. This is fine to have someone kneeling for you to possibly get a quick getaway and escape. But I do believe the gun pivoting could be a little bit more quicker. And I also do believe that sometimes it feels like headshots are having a hard time registering, which is what happens when James aims down a hallway, shoots a nurse in the head, and one of them feels absolutely zero, absolutely nothing. It feels like there is just a tinge of inconsistency there. Now, the classic stomp, I do appreciate it still being here. It does what it needs to do. An enemy is down, therefore you stomp on them to fully kill them, 100%. I think that's fine. I think that is critical, and I also love the fact that the enemy is all bloodied up after you've done enough damage, which is cool. That's 100% fine. However, I feel as though the sound, the stomp sound, needs to be a little bit more impactful, so to speak. When you stomp a necromorph's brains out as Isaac Clarke, you feel the weight of that foot. You feel him swearing. You feel the moment of the situation going down. And I think a little bit more impact would be nice and really detail and covet the situation. I don't know. This guy just cannot hit the broadside of a barn, but I'm telling you, he's just missing shots. But from here, you can just tell it is one of those games. It feels like Daymare 1998. It feels like those mechanics involved where it is a little tinge of amateurish nature behind it. And once again, like I said, if I haven't said it already, this is Bloober's first game of making combat for any sort of horror game they made in the past. You could tell it's just rough around the edges, but it could be better. Okay, felt that headshot, and now I know people made fun of the nurse vaulting over a waist-high railing, but honestly, I don't hate this either, because if you have an enemy pursuing you, you're going to want them to try to get to the player as fast as possible. I feel like that is paramount to the situation. You're being chased. You should feel like you're being chased in a very dark and confined room. And they did a great job with the pure darkness here as well. You just see like nothing back there. And that's going to create situations of tension where enemies will come at you and try to rush at you, bum rush, hopefully. and you might not even see it, and it might be a shock, a surprise, just something on the table to create that level of suspense for the player. Again, the shotgun, he's just holding it weird. It seems like that recoil of the shotgun is weird. Like he's not like putting the stock into his shoulder. It just takes away from the immersion, and I'm not really just feeling that. I feel like a little bit of a tweak is in order. Is that also just vomit or green blood over the nurse? It looks like so weird. But it's supposed to like shock and awe, so I can accept that. That's 100% fine. But yeah, a little bit more just adjustments to the animations and how the gunplay feels, and I think it would be readily rewarding if they managed to capitalize on all these systems at play. Great aesthetics, great gameplay, great gunplay. And this is just, I can't get rid of this thing on the screen, but he opens the door to what I assume is the hospital, and there's Pyramid Head up there waiting. And that's the end of the trailer. There's work to be done. And if we skip to it, we can tell in development for the PlayStation 5, no release date yet. Don't rush this out. Take all the feedback on what you heard with the gameplay and tighten, refine, polish. Now is the time to really take all of this into advisement. And this is coming from me, and I'm being a lot more constructive about it. I want them to improve this game so it could be the best game that it possibly could be, because Silent Hill 2 is a game that resonates with fans of the series, with fans of the franchise. It is one of those games that is considered one of the greatest stories in horror of all history. You can't fuck this up. You cannot. You cannot get this wrong whatsoever. And I believe this trailer, this proof and concept of showing us more of the combat, is a testament to getting it right, delaying it, maybe even if you have to take cliff notes from Capcom or maybe get people involved from there that kind of know what they're doing. It's fine. If you look at something like this compared to Metal Gear, it feels like MGS got a little bit more love and care from being in-house, from being in studio. Let's see, Metal Gear Solid Delta. I'm just going to show you, like, I'm going to take you down a little merry-go-round trip to the announcement trailer, the not the announcement, but the actual first engine look of this game. And as you can see, let's look at this. Care, attention, and detail. Looks like Metal Gear Solid 3, feels like Metal Gear Solid 3, barely any problems of the sort, but you're modernizing it and it feels just right. And I don't know how this looks like overall a more refined and polished product versus something like Silent Hill 2, where it needs just a little bit more focus. Incredible. It really feels like Metal Gear Solid 5 had a baby with Metal Gear Solid 3, and this is what we're getting. This is what we needed in gameplay context. Bloober needs to polish up a little bit. Don't rush it. And even if you're like, hey, I want to make this a 2024 release, don't even do that. Wait till early 2025 when this is really like refined, when this is really like a game that has like 6 years behind it, and you can say, oh shit, well, now we're really confident and ready. Give the game time as opposed to a rush. And believe me, promise me, it will pay off in the long run. Listen to the feedback, take it constructively because it is constructive, and do the best you can with it. Even if you have to like play test and put out a demo and see what people feel about it from there. Once it's in their hands, they'll tell you all about what you need to know. But that's the best way you can sort of put in, apply, and adjust to modern conventions. This looks incredible, by the way. Just love it. Oh my god, so good. Woo! Woo! I gotta say, I give Konami hats off for that, but yeah, I need Silent Hill to be looking of the same level of quality, just like this. It's rough. It's a rough draft, but we need like several more pages, and then we'll get there. But my name is Renegade Operative. I am signing out. That is my thoughts on the Silent Hill 2 remake trailer that they showed for the official gameplay. There's some good, there is some questionable, and there are some fixes that need to be implemented in the future. Until then, I'm signing out. Anything you have to say, let me know in the comment section below. And you beautiful people, once again, be good people, stay safe. I'll see you once again later.